It. Oh, there we are.
What's up?
What's going on?
Hey.
Oh, not too much. Just hanging out. Yourselves?
Mark Richards, it is a pleasure, sir.
Likewise. Good to meet you.
Hell yeah.
How's it going?
Good, good. This is Erica, by the way.
How's it going, Erica? Nice to meet you as well.
Nice to meet you.
So I heard that you just finished a tattoo. What did you finish today? Or what did you work on today, I should say?
I didn't finish anything, but I did work on an Odin piece. That'll get finished.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, that'll get finished sometime in October.
Nice. I'm a fan of Norse mythology.
Right on.
Did a little bit of stuff with Brimming Horn, which is a mead company, and they're actual havens. So it's kind of crazy, like people that are actually like the gods. The gods are real. The gods, and I'm like, oh, cool, man. Like, yeah, I'll see you in Valhalla. Fuck off. No.
Right. Hey, am I bright enough?
What's that?
Am I bright enough?
I mean, I can see you, but
kind of dark though.
it's a little dark, but it's not a big deal.
That's,
right,
that's a lot better.
Shit.
Futzing around with the ring light. Got real fancy.
Nice, nice, nice. So I should just give a little introduction. Mark Richards is Heavy Hand Illustration. He does excellent tattoos at Tomb Gallery in Massachusetts. He's also an incredible artist. He does digital, he does pen and ink, and I wanted to talk to him about medium, but I want to kind of, before we talk about medium, just kind of start off by asking you, how the fuck are you, first of all?
I got no complaints right now. I'm good.
Good, good. Is the storm hitting you at all? Is the storm affecting you at all?
No.
Storm.
We were supposed to have a big hurricane like 2 weekends ago. It was nothing. And then I think we had a lot of rain like the last couple nights or something, but
yeah,
where I am, there really hasn't been much.
Good. Well, I'm glad. And for anybody that's actually out there experiencing some hard times right now, I'm so sorry. And at this point, I don't really know much else I can do other than just say I'm sorry, but maybe we can work out something where we can help donate something and help out people that are in need. But unfortunately, I didn't realize the severity of this storm until just about a couple of days ago. So I guess I dodged a bullet a little bit driving out here this weekend. So that said, I want to, first of all, I'm super stoked to be talking to you. This is like the actual first time that I'm seeing your face. Like, in like an interactive setting. Like, we've seen each other's pictures, and I've been a huge fan of your art, a huge fan of your tattoos ever since we've really gotten to know each other a little bit.
Thank you.
And this is awesome that you would take the time to do this with me. I really appreciate that, and I feel like Erica is definitely lucky to be able to do this interaction as well, and I'm glad that she's here with us to do so. So we've got some people joining, and we really appreciate everybody that's checking this out. We've got Riddick, we've got Matt Sticker. I saw Bryce on here from Crypt Keepers. We've got Lucas Ruggieri. So we're really we're cooking right now, and I wanna kind of jump in and say I love your style. I really love the influence. It looks like that you're pulling from is like a lot of horror movie, and I wanted to kind of ask you, like, is there anything specific that makes it like, is something that you pull from a lot? Like, is there something that is just something that you like, you're constantly kind of using as far as influence for your artwork?
There's like no easy way to answer that, but I mean, just stuff for the most part.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I also should say I love how jokey you are with your posts.
Yeah, it's I cannot turn it off.
I love it. No, I love it because it's just like, because you don't go too serious with things, but you make such sick shit. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? I just like it's just like silly puns, and it's just right up my alley. So I super appreciate that kind of stuff, man.
Good, because some people do not like it at all.
Well, fuck them.
I know, it just makes me want to pun more, you know?
Yeah. Oh, hello, Bloodspore. I wonder who's watching. I imagine it's Luke. So thanks for joining us, Luke. yeah, I reached out to Luke today and I was like, shit, dude, is there anything I have to worry about as far as this like storm is going? Like, he's like, no, I would let you know as soon as possible, you know, if there was anything, because I have a studio in the basement. And I was, you know, just making sure, you know, if there was any, you know, damage to the house or if there was any issues with the basement being flooded or anything, because unfortunately she's dealt with some very severe flood
2 years in a row.
So
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to deal with.
right.
At all.
Yeah. Oh, that's why your fishing spots are fucked. Sorry, Luke. I'm sorry, bud. Anyway, we're gonna continue. We don't want to get too off topic here. It's just we've had a couple of drinks. We just got back from a little get together with her mom, and she likes the drink. It's fun.
Yeah.
But,
I'm pretty fucking stoned myself, so
right on,
Nice.
right on.
Don't worry.
Well, so the Odin piece went well, I presume.
Yeah, we're actually going to be doing like a whole Viking sleeve, I guess, or what's left. So
Got a little bit of a Viking sleeve going on here, but I'm not gonna. Okay, so all right. Well, from there, let's talk about how you got started at Tomb Gallery.
So Mark Blanchard, who's also the drummer in my band's Stagnator,
Hell yeah.
So we've known each other for a while. And he used to have a tattoo shop in Boston called Eridanos. So they would have me put pieces in there, and it was suggested by someone else who worked there that if I ever wanted to learn how to tattoo, Mark would probably take me on. So I had never wanted to be a tattoo artist before. And
really?
It just clicked because his stuff is just fucking gruesome. It's gnarly, aggressive.
Yeah, it's really crazy. It's
yeah,
very
I was
aggressive.
like,
that
would make sense.
Line work, yeah.
Yeah, like he's not gonna make me do, you know, Boston Red Sox tattoos and like
good
ripped and shit like that. So
sounds torturous.
Yeah, so it was in the works or in the talks for a while, but just due to different circumstances, it didn't work out until I moved back home from California a couple of years ago, and we started jamming. And he said, "Yeah, whenever you want to start the apprenticeship, just let me know." So we were at a place in Boston called Peanut Brothers Inc. And after a bit, we just realized that it would be a much smarter move for us being, you know, like very niche dark artists to just open up our own shop. And we were trying to find stuff in the general Boston area, but it was just way too expensive, really slim pickings. And a friend of ours suggested Salem, and you know, it's perfect. You know, it's like everyone's weird and spooky year round.
Oh yeah.
Even though we're not doing walk-ins or anything, a lot of people will pass and they'll see, you know, a big red drippy death metal logo just hanging over them, and they see, you know, weird. We get like a bunch of weapons and sculptures done by our friend Karen. Her handle on here is Dogzilla Lives. So she provided us with a lot of cool stuff to put in the front windows.
That's awesome.
So people stop and they see it, and then they send us an email and they're like, "All right, this is ridiculous shit. We want tattoos." So
hell yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something to point out. I feel like there's not a lot of tattoo artists that can say that they're in a shop of their own that represent what they love. Yeah. And that it's just their shit. And you guys don't even take in walk-ins. Like, that's almost just like a funny, like, ha ha ha, like, to like normies that want like, you know, fucking clovers that say St. Patrick and shit on them, or koi fish and shit.
I've turned away several bachelorette parties.
That's so funny.
Like 7 or 8 girls who, you know, they all want like matching witch hat tattoos, and you know
that makes
up,
sense.
so
being
you can't do it. Yeah, but we have allowed the voicemail to just get full, and we haven't deleted anything. So if anyone calls us, they can't even leave a message. And it's
amazing.
It sounds like a dick move.
Like which hat's off to you, sir. I think that's fucking awesome that you're in a position where you can just be like, hey, I've got a selection that I'm sticking with, and sorry, but it's all good. Go to Johnny smokes a lot down the street, man.
Like, there are, I believe, 7 shops within walking distance of ours.
So they'll find a place to get their fucking infinity tattoos on their wrists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking bird silhouettes and dream catchers.
She has she's actually a tattoo artist herself.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she likes traditional style.
Yeah, I love
for you
American traditional.
Right on.
Particularly. Yeah.
She's done a lot of tattoos on herself, actually.
Yeah, most of my tattoos are done at home, actually.
Yeah, I have not done one of myself yet, but
Really?
me and two of my friends who I know joined, Tim and Courtney. We're gonna do some bro tats, so I guess I'm gonna have to tattoo myself at that point.
Word.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, so I've got to say, like, it's really cool that you have something set up in Salem, of all places. It's such a spooky, cool town. Like, I have wanted to check it out for a second, and especially during Halloween, but, you know, we had a plan to come out and meet halfway, her and I, and
Yep.
U.S. borders are closed to Canadians right now, so I had to make... For now,
so Canadians can't
yeah.
get into the U.S., huh?
Yeah, the other way
no,
around is open. Yeah, you can get U.S. into Canada, but you can't get Canada into U.S. right now.
Like, so. I can fly there, but I can't drive there. It makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, it really doesn't make much sense. So, but that was the plan, so whatever. Either way, that said, it's really cool that what was the other tattoo artist's name that brought you in?
Mark Blanchard.
Mark Blanchard, he's got quite a style, and it was great of him to take you in and show you his way, and it looks like you've kind of taken a little bit his style too, which is really cool. It's developed a unique style of yours, because I see what your style looks like before his influence. And it's really cool to see that mixture, and I love it. As far as tattoo work, like, I want that shit on my fucking blank ass canvas over here, so I'm definitely talking to him about that. But and also you guys have like it's called a gallery too, so you have art.
Yeah, I mean,
there.
We kind of just called it Tomb Gallery at first because it sounded cooler than Tomb Tattoo.
Yeah.
So we just, I mean, maybe eventually we'll try to do some art shows, but I mean,
okay, cool.
It is filled with like all of our art and all sorts of fun stuff that we've done. So I was laughing earlier at we got a question if I've tattooed a penis. And
I'm sure he has.
This guy has the most ridiculous comments. I don't know who
Wait a
he is.
minute, hold on. I haven't been paying attention.
This fucking Sherm smoke person.
Hold on. First of all, Mark asked, "Are you still handling regular commissions, album covers, etc.?"
Nope.
I was going to ask you the same question, but I already know the answer.
On my Instagram page, I had to put that illustration commissions are closed forever because I'm just hounded all the time, and just having it say commissions closed was not enough. So when I put forever, I felt like it was going to be better, but it just doesn't work. And I'm,
holy shit! It's almost like you created more of a demand, dude.
Yeah, and I'm burnt out, man. Like, for the last 10 years straight, I have not had a break from illustrations. I've been doing it full time for 4 years, and like 100 hours a week, and then
holy shit! So there's a dark side to art, folks.
Yeah, that's just
there's
one.
A dark side to commission work, freelance work. No,
that's not even the darkest, but so
the real dark side is where the rifts come.
Yeah. But so that with tattooing and the bands and just like assimilating back into somewhat normal life, I just couldn't do it. So I have a handful of commissions left, and then I'm just going to illustrate what I want to make on the side when I have time, so I don't have to deal with anybody's expectations.
Hell yeah.
Revisions, notes, or like we're waiting for our drummer to get back to us, or we're waiting for the art director to let us know what's up. I just want to draw the stuff that's in my head and put it out there for licensing rights, because it's just that it would be way more fulfilling. And every band who's just let me do my thing comes back a million times, or like they sell out of things 2 or 3 times within a year, because they know that their fan bases are going to dig the stuff that I'm doing. And especially if it's a band that I'm into, I know what their fan base is going to want to see based on like the vibe of the music or like their personality or whatever.
Right.
And then, if I don't have to worry about what anybody thinks about what I'm making, I can just do whatever the hell I want, and it just gets very, very wacky. But
right.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's got to be awesome to. I want to commemorate you, and I do this for every artist that I talk to, but There's always something that I super respect about artists that I talk to, and I have to say that it's really awesome that you have that option now, that you can tell people that, no, I'm sorry, I can't. Like, you have so much work that's that people want you to do, and you can't do it all. And you want to do what you want to do, and it's great to be, I think it's awesome that you're in a position where you can say, I do what I want. I got to do what I want.
Yeah, and
you're a talented dude, man. You're cranking out work like crazy, and you deserve that. That's awesome. You know what I mean? A lot of artists want to get to that level. So, congrats on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I do have a handful of clients who I will continue to work with because they are the ones who let me do whatever I want. And at this point, it's like they just want the overall aesthetic to be what I see attached to their bands.
Right, so and they know what to expect because they know what you do. So
so I'll always be doing stuff for my own bands. Me and Mark always tag team everything for Stagnator, and for those favorite bands, or if some of my really bucket list bands hit me up, then I'm gonna do that. But until I have a clear plate, until I have a clear plate and I've just kind of eased into the schedule that I need to make with tattooing, then I might take away the note that says commission's closed forever, but don't know how I'm gonna feel because it's been so long, and I'm never gonna stop making art.
It's almost like it hurts when you don't, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's the good thing about the tattoos that I get to do. It's not like, I want my brother's name on me, or I want this pre-existing sports logo. People are coming to me and they're saying hey, I want some sort of rotten carcass, or
which
something
is
from a horror
movie. To do, and that's your passion, and that's awesome. That you do that without having to settle for something just to make a buck. Cheers to Riddick, who is on the bucket list, is he's asking, and Jimmy's saying, James is saying, fuck yeah, Stagnator. I want to speak to you about Stagnator in a second too. So
bucket list, I would say the number one band on my bucket list is Broken Hope, simply because they put out my favorite death metal album.
Cool death metal,
Loathing in particular is my absolute favorite death metal album, and I've listened to it almost nonstop since I was I don't know, I think it came out when I was 16 or something like that. But Suffocation too. I would love to do a shirt for Suffocation. If there was any if a member of Slayer, an actual member, said, "Hey, I want to commission you," I would do that. But I don't think I would want to do the third party licensing stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. Yeah.
But a lot of other bucket list items are just bands that don't exist anymore. I definitely want to be able to do a licensed Evil Dead 2 poster. That's my favorite movie of all time. I've been trying to do it. So I was supposed to actually do another bucket list item for Hero Complex Gallery, but I've just been so overloaded that we'll do it eventually. But Dead Alive, which
cool.
I put 50 hours of work into it, only to realize that another poster artist, Matt Ryan, did the exact same composition with just
no way. Matt Sticker did a Dead Alive too.
I was I could have Googled this, but I didn't. And
hey, whatever, man. I mean, it's not going to look like his. It doesn't matter.
It was way too similar compositionally.
Oh, word.
Us as artists would be able to tell there's a big difference in the styles and everything and the applications, but to the everyday,
it looks a little too bit. Yeah, I got it.
I can tell my work from Mark Riddick's and vice versa, sure. But so many of my friends are "Hey, is this yours?" I'm like, "No." It's a guy with a very similar name.
Friends. Well, no, that's cool though. I mean, okay, so I wanted to talk to you about Stagnator real quick.
All right.
First of all, you guys are going. You're going to be jumping around a little bit, and it looks like you're going to be playing with GOG, and it looks like you're going to be playing with Severed Boy. Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of mention those dudes. Shout out to GOG and Severed Boy.
I saw John from GOG was saying something earlier. The Hand of Glory tattoo is on John from GOG.
Nice.
Yeah, and I feel I feel like Luke Luke just mentioned something to me that I didn't recognize. But I think there are. Fuck, never mind. I can't remember off the top of my head, but keep going. Sorry.
Sorry.
All right. Yeah. We're doing a little 3-day outing in November.
Hell yeah.
In Providence, Boston, and Brooklyn. So, and then we figure we're going to kind of like lay low and just figure out what we want to write next.
Nice.
We also have a side project called Bloodburner that's just like super down-tuned, dumbass death metal. It's all the same guys in Stagnator. We're just like, all right, we play too fast sometimes, so let's bring it down.
Ooh, sounds right up my alley, man.
Yeah, just keep it. We're just keeping it chunky and stupid. But
have you made a logo for that?
Not yet, but I will. It's going to be as gross as I possibly can make it. And I know
I look forward to that.
James has been hounding me to get the Bloodburner demo done, but yeah, I think we're going to be done with drums at some point soonish. It's just, I mean, like we're so busy between the shop and Stagnator already, but yeah. So once we get those shows out of the way in November, I want to make sure that we put some more focus on Bloodburner and like the other millions of projects that we got going.
Right. Yo, you're such a sick guitarist, and I've seen so many fucking awesome photos of your guitars. And the one that my favorite guitar that you've posted over the time you've shown your collection is the watermelon colored guitar.
Yeah,
and I think you had a couple of cool names for it, and I feel like I had one that I was passionate about calling it, and I feel like. Can you remind me real quick, like what was the post that you originally asked about it? Like,
originally, I was deliberating with myself and some friends whether it should be Slimer or Ecto-1. And everyone's like, oh, it should be Ecto-1. And I'm like, that's fucking boring, though. And I was like, I think it's going to be Slimer. But I had mentioned that, like, I had come up with a fake band years ago called Slaughtermelon. And
it was cooking the guitar.
So I was just like, oh, but, with these colors and everything, it could be Slaughtermelon. And, like, people were very...
It was such a sick.
They were like, "You better call that fucking guitar Slaughtermelon."
Immediately, it was just like, "You better fucking call that shit." Yeah.
People were like, "I will find you an out."
Coolest fucking thing ever. Yeah. I think I maybe threw a pun at you from there, but yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot of good suggestions.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Always happy to have audience participation with that stuff.
Did you post a picture on your Instagram of that?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Oh, cool. So whoever's watching right now, I'll scroll down in his feed to see Slaughtermelon because that shit's sick.
Yeah, it's a metallic slime green warlock with hot pink pickups.
It's rad. It's
gold hardware.
Thick.
It's so hideous.
Yeah. Okay, so all right, maybe I'm missing some things here.
What's going on here?
Shit. John Arenas. God. Let's see here. Riddick asked Buckalist. I think we're all caught up. What was the thing that you were talking about? The penis and the...
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, to follow up on that, I have not tattooed a penis.
Really?
No.
About to change that.
So, I think there's a law in Salem that says you can't. I mean, I don't think I want to. I don't know.
A Salem
The laws are really old. But as an apprentice...
No dick tats.
Yeah, like you don't want an apprentice tattooing your genitals, It's not
no,
it's not gonna be good.
But if you've ever tattooed a penis,
that's what I interpreted
not like a tattoo of a penis.
Right.
I have done neither.
Yeah,
I would do a tattoo of a penis if it was in the right context.
Right. Right.
But so when I started the apprenticeship, I was talking to my mom about it, and she was like, "What if you have to tattoo a dick?" And I was just like, "All right, first of all, I'm not doing that. And second of all, you're my mom and you do not speak to me like that." Not how we talk in this house.
Now go in the bathroom and wash your mouth out with soap.
Yeah, Tim, my buddy Tim, Papa Chongo wants to know just the root. Listen, everyone's got their price, buddy. But
you'll get tried.
I'm not going to tattoo my own penis.
For doing tats. Tattoo a penis on a penis. Matt Sticker.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to tattoo a bigger dick on somebody's dick.
Hell yeah. Make sure there's more veins on his tattoo dick than there is on his dick.
Just extra vascular.
Yeah, extra veins. Yeah. Extravenously. Anyway, so all right, from there, let's kind of jump over to your technique. So So if anyone is actually a fan of Mark Riddick, Mark Richards, sorry, wine, nah,
It's cool.
not the case tonight.
Yeah,
Vodka,
don't worry about it.
actually. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so,
Sorry.
yeah, sorry.
All right, Sherm Smoke's gonna get a sick barbed wire root tattoo.
Right, nice.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
right around the base. That'd be
A
sick.
large
That'd be
show
sick.
texture.
I wanted to talk to you about technique. Or first of all, medium. Let's talk about medium for a second. Do you like pen and ink? Do you use brush? Do you like pen? What's your go-to?
I love pen and ink and brush and ink,
Right on.
but I have not done it in like maybe 3.5 years at this point.
Got you. So you're doing like digital.
Yeah. So when I moved to California, me and my ex-girlfriend out there were like going on all sorts of adventures, going everywhere. And I had picked up an iPad like a year prior and just didn't really futz around with it much. So I just decided one day, like, all right, with all this traveling, I can't bring all my pen and ink stuff. So I'll just try to sketch on Procreate. And by like the second or third piece, I was just like, why have I not been doing this the entire time? Because like people will ask me like, oh, what size is your canvas? And I'm like, I don't know, like 5,400 pixels square. And they're just like, what is that in inches? And I'm like, yeah. Like, how do you get that size paper? And I was like, it's because I'm not gonna like make it look smooth and airbrushy. I'm still gonna make it look grimy.
Yeah, no, that's so corny. That's why I was so deterred from doing that for such a long time. But I heard about this Procreate and Apple Pencil, and I don't have the right iPad, so I have to do that, and I have to put away money to be able to buy it. But I feel like I'm totally behind the times, and I think it's awesome that I've seen so many awesome pieces of artwork come from people using those programs and different tools. And yourself included. So sick, dude. So sick.
Like if you're a starting artist and you're like you want to actually be a good artist, you should not be using all digital all the time. You need to,
like, absolutely. You need to cut your teeth on paper and with pen.
Yeah, and then once you realize, like, all right, cool, I got this, and then you find a much more efficient way to do things, and you start realizing that there's different new techniques and like shortcuts you can do, so you can meet those deadlines, and it's like you still get the same product. That's when doing things like I'm definitely going to start doing pen and ink again now that commissions are pretty much done. But digital is just like the way to go. Just as long as you know the fundamentals and like
I'm pretty bummed, honestly. I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah. Well, hey, we all
have a tablet that's bamboo tablet. So.
Yeah, we all move at our own pace, But
that's true.
But so John is asking what preferred brush sets I have, what are my preferred brush sets? I like a lot of stuff from True Grit, mainly their the beat tones, lithotones, and fast grit. Really good for like half tones and textures and getting different patterns and everything to build, more depth, stuff like that. And then I just pretty much use the stippling ink bleed and just the technical pen. That's pretty much like 99% of what I use.
I feel like I would be pretty caveman with those tools, and I think I would just be so overwhelmed by all the brush presets that I just wouldn't want to use any of them, and just find like whatever pencil and brush that I could use just to emanate a real one. But I'm sure you get spoiled and find some things that really work for you. And so I'm gonna rewatch this and take notes about that. Once I get my shit set up, I'm gonna check that out, those settings, because I've been trying to get that started for a little bit, or I've been meaning to, I should say, and every time I'm like, oh, I need to use whiteout because I made this mistake, or I need to erase this because I feel like this is not going the way I want it to go. I like curse my own brain by not like having picked up those tools earlier, because I see everybody else kind of getting to new levels with things and being able to like crank out work and show time lapses of their progresses and stuff like that. And
but on the flip side, like if on the flip side, if you're like me and you like to zoom in, so a square inch is like this large. I go down the rabbit hole of detail way too much, because it's just like
gotta be
it's just where I go. It's my safe place, and then I zoom out and I'm like, oh cool, I just spent an hour on like the
On
sole
something
of a
you can't
shoe.
even fucking understand. Yeah, like
Yeah.
what a like weird frustration that only artists can know. Like
Yeah.
it's just something that like you wouldn't like someone else couldn't maybe appreciate if they didn't like know those tools and those programs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean I use a bamboo like on a graphics tablet, and
Yep.
when I zoom in I start to get tunnel vision on one spot, but I try to remind myself to zoom out a little bit so that I'm kind of getting more of the picture, so that I understand that when I come all the way out, like what it's going to look like and how important it is to like really fixate on something for so long until then. But it's funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah. So Mr. Riddick is asking if it was challenging to move to flesh. Very much so.
Oh yeah.
You know, I had a handful of people be like, "Oh, it's easy." Like if tattooing is easy for you when you just start, you're either a virtuoso or you're a fucking moron. But yeah, it's not easy at all. It's like, and you know, people will be surprised that I've only been doing it for a little over a year, but like I still have, yeah, I still have a long way to go, because like every time I tattoo, I'm like, fuck, there's something that I could do better. But it like that's the same way.
Isn't that the artist's way of thinking at all times? Like no matter what medium you're using, like
yeah. And very, very early on, you know, like there was a tattoo I was not happy with, and I was just like, wow, I fucking hate myself to the fiber of my being. And like I knew it would happen, but I just had to like stew, and I was like that was like one of the biggest challenges, is like, you know, dealing with the anxiety of like I can get started and it's fine, but then later on it's like, what if this person decides that they don't like it?
Right.
Like in a month or something like that, because it happens. I've seen it happen. But
sure.
But yeah, it's you know, it's just as challenging as anything. But Mark Blanchard is a really fucking good teacher, and was like, you know, I'm gonna show you the stuff that you need to know, and I'm not gonna like, you know, beat around the bush with it. I'm gonna tell you exactly what to do and when, and like how to feel it, how you can tell that something's working, and all that stuff. Just so there wasn't
really
like
cool.
Yeah, because like I've heard horror stories from other apprentices where they're like, yeah, they just give you a machine and say tattoo yourself and figure it out, or like they're stuck there for years and years. But so you know, he just monitored my technique and everything as closely as possible, and was just like, you know, oh, you know, faster, turn your voltage up, slow down, use a different needle, and yeah, and then from there, it's like, you know, picking up any other medium. Like once you start to build enough of a confidence in the understanding of it, you can. And also realize that like every part of the body is different, every person's skin is different, every person's like tolerance or like how fidgety they are.
Canvas and flesh for sure, like that.
Yeah. So it's like once you kind of like get into a rhythm, it, you know, you get to a place where you feel like okay, I'm not completely inept at this, but it's still like a huge challenge, and but it's a really fun one, and it's very fruitful, and it's like I'm just at the beginning of a new career that I will do until I can't, you know.
Hell yeah, man, that's sick.
It's really exciting.
I mean, like you've really impressed me by the time, like by the amount of things that I've seen you put out. I've been convinced that I need you on my fucking flesh. So yeah, and I think I have Mark Blanchard to thank for teaching you and giving you a little inspiration as far as your style goes with tattooing, because I can definitely see like the way that it's translated. I can see the expressive extra lines, the weird like squiggling and like drippiness, and the interesting like kind of whip kind of shade kind of thing. I don't know much terminology, but I have a couple of tattoo friends, and I can see like that texture.
Yeah,
it's really cool, man. I love that.
Yep.
Hell
It's really fun, and like I knew before even starting, like there was no way I could do my illustration style tattooing. So
I mean, I think it's possible, but I think it's really cool what you've done now. Like
you gotta, it's like you gotta put it through a particular filter, and instead of like being precise with everything, you kind of just like,
of course,
you know, you just build textures and everything. But well, let's see. Mark's got another question for us here.
Yep.
Is it more rewarding to see a tattoo finished or to hold an LP cover you illustrated? All right. So
great questions. Always
got the best.
Yeah, that's it's a good one. I like it.
Hell yeah.
So I guess it would depend on the situation. Like if it's a tattoo that's finished that I really like, and it's on, especially if it's on a friend or a family member,
Sure.
that is the coolest. But
Hell yeah.
like when I got the the GHOUL Dungeon Bastards album, a hard copy of that, I was like, fuck yes, this is sick. Like, I finally did an actual record cover for a band that I listened to on the regular.
GHOUL is the shit. Hell yeah.
And like, you know, I've known Ross for a while, and I got to know Sean, and so just a quick aside from that. So I was, me and an ex were out in San Francisco, and I was sending a progress shot to Sean from GHOUL, and I said, hey, if there's anything cool happening in the Bay Area tonight, let me know. And he was like, oh, do you want to just come to our practice space and do gang vocals on a decibel flexi? So me and my girlfriend got to do gang vocals on Wall of Death.
Sick.
Yeah, it was fucking great.
Wow.
But you know, that was a big moment. And then seeing Carl from Bolt Thrower holding it, I was just like, holy shit, this is fucking cool as hell.
That rules, man.
But like,
sick.
So like the feeling of those things, it's like on par with the feeling of seeing a tattoo finish and being like, all right, sick, I'm happy with this. I can see that I've progressed. I can see, you know, like things that I could do better the next time. And it's like on someone who I'm going to bump into at a show, or, you know, see at a party or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, holy shit, dude. That's, I feel like so far, like I've had a lot of really awesome little stories as far as like big moments in artist history for the people I've been talking to. And it's just, it's really awesome to hear these stories about like exciting things that spike out, you know what I mean? That pop up as far as like very memorable experiences, very, you know, rewarding experiences. And that sounds sick, dude. That's like,
yeah.
Do some guest vocals for GHOUL real quick, no problem, man. Yeah, like
I got to put on some of their props too. That was pretty fucking cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Not their hoods. I don't know if I'd want to do that because that's a little bit, you know, too personal, too intimate.
We have a good question here from Lucas.
Yes.
Oh man. Oh shit. That's like, I would say, I mean, it would probably just have to be GHOUL because it was for a band that I loved and I continue to love. A close second though would probably be, I'm like challenging myself now for no reason. I don't know why.
No worries.
Maybe for Xoth, the last Xoth album. That was a really fun one. I got to try out like all sorts of new stuff. And what was really cool about that, so one of the dudes hit me up and said, hey, you probably want to see this. Someone's like 5 or 6 year old kid drew their version of my album cover. And
hell yeah.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah, so those are probably my two favorites.
That's great, man. I have to mention that Toxic Ruin album cover is just so fucking cool.
Yeah, that was
the eyeball creature and the fucking like the pool of fucking like, you know, you've got corpses floating in it, and like what was the design like direction for that?
So
what was the like, how did they commission that? Did you go about that and be like, hey, I got this idea, or did they say like, we want this, you know?
No, Steve from Toxic Ruin was just like, hey man, I want this thing that's going to be called Nightmare Eclipse, and we want it to be based on the last, I think it was like 25 or 30 minutes of one of the Berserk movies. And I'm not much of an anime fan, so I didn't know what it was, but
me neither. Yeah.
But it's nuts, man. It's insane. Cool. It's like this big, crazy, violent nightmare scene. And I watched it once and I was like, I fucking got it. And I just told him the idea, and it was like, I want to say I started it a little bit before the pandemic hit, and then when everything got shut down, I was like, all right, I guess I'm just gonna sit and draw this album cover, which is also a gatefold, so you know, even more work. I probably put like 70 or 80 hours into that just because I had the time.
You feel like you adequately got paid for that?
Yeah, those guys are great at making sure I get compensated, and like they just let me do whatever the hell I want.
Is it something
within
that you
reason.
have to ask for to be fair, or is it something that they go, okay, so what's your
Well,
rate?
if I
Because I'm just curious, because sometimes commission work can be like, it's hard to ask for so much money, and you know
it
what I
gets
mean?
easier.
Yeah.
It
Once
definitely
that
gets
gets
easier.
easier,
Oh yeah, it definitely, like, eventually it takes a fucking while, but
sure.
yeah. So I mean, we've had a really good working relationship. So they're always telling me like, hey, if you need more than the last one, like, and we can just separate it into 3 payments or whatever. Like, I can work with people I trust and enjoy working for and consider, friends and collaborators versus just clients. And I think there was one thing where I was like, oh, how's this price? And they were like, that's not enough. And I was like, okay, well, all right, how about this? And they're like, all right, yeah, that's fair. But
So they said it's not enough for you.
yeah, a few
Well,
bands have
that's
done that.
awesome.
Yeah, a few of my tattoo clients have too, but like, I'm at an apprentice rate. It's not up to me. But anyway, so there have been times where I'll say like, oh, I want 1,000 for this, and then it's like, well, our budget's 1,500. We're just gonna give it to you. And if
Nice.
if you want to, like, tack on an extra t-shirt design of your choosing, go for it. And I'm just like, okay, fucking cool. But
I can argue with that.
yeah.
Wow.
So it took me a few years to figure out like what my prices should be. Mark is also asking if I charge by the hour. So part of the reason I no longer want to do freelance illustration is that it would be impossible for me to charge by the hour, just because like I'm always looking for new ways to experiment, and I'm always like, I get so wrapped up in detail and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
If I was getting paid for like one time Netflix essentially like put me on retainer for a week to do sketches they were doing like a new Reddit ad campaign for the show Haunted. So Haunted is about people
cool.
in real life discussing their haunted happenings or whatever.
Sure.
And one of the marketing things that they decided to do is put this thread up on Reddit to just describe recurring nightmares. And me and 4 other artists were chosen to do that, and they would just fire off emails. So they just said at the beginning of it, like, how much money do you need to do this for a week? So I kind of thought like, okay, I would usually work this amount of hours, and if they're going to be, if I have to be at their beck and call, I'm going to make sure I get compensated. And they're Netflix, so obviously work. So I just gave them a number, and they were like, yep, no problem. You know, and I'm like, all right, sick.
Wow.
So in that case, I charge by the hour. But
right on.
Yeah, and I was included with some big fucking artists. There was so Brandon Holt, Heathen Legs on Instagram, is like probably my absolute favorite current artist. And when I found out he was doing it, like, I found out the day that we started the project
later.
that he was on it. I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, then I saw I think it was the guy who did the Clerks comics. I want to say, maybe, I don't know. But and then someone who's done like stuff for Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for decades. One of the guys had like
big stuff,
2 million followers, and I'm like, who the hell am I? Like,
wow.
I just draw skulls. It was fucking sick.
If you got it and they want it, I mean, like, if you're noticed, someone sees it, you got that fucking steez.
Yeah, but
doesn't matter.
Yeah. So unless I get jobs like that, or like Time Magazine or the New Yorker or something, like that I'm probably never going to work for, but hey, you never know. That's when I would be charging an hourly, or at least like with certain things, I'll charge a base commission rate, and I will say half is up front, and once you give that to me, that's when the work starts.
Sure. Do you
written...
show sketches before that half gets paid?
No. I used to, and I don't anymore, because I know that I've been doing this for a long time, and I've been backed up forever, and like I knew, like, all right, I'm in demand, and I don't have to mess around with people who are not going to be willing to put a deposit down before seeing any work, because like I already have a million people to work for. So gotcha. And like there were a few times I would slip up, and like most of the time I didn't get burnt. A couple times I did, and you know, it's just like I always ask for the deposit up front, and I let them know, like with the base commission fee, depending on who the client is. Like if it's, you know, if it's like a local death metal band, that's there are much lower rates. But if there's like a major publication or some sort of mainstream outlet that I know can afford it, and I'm still going to put in the same amount of time, then I'm going to make it worth my while and charge the base commission 50% up front. Then, you know, we can talk about ideas before that. That's fine. Once I get that 50% is when I will start actually sketching. And I just tell them, like, you know, once this first draft is approved, you have 2 revisions included. After that, any revision is $75 an hour, 2-hour minimum. So if there's one little thing that they forgot to tell me, it's going to cost $150. And then if 5 minutes later they say, "Oh, we forgot this," you're getting charged another $150, because it's like, and people have been like, "Oh, how can you nickel and dime me like that?" I'm like, you're taking time, you're taking several chunks of time out of my day that could be going to other projects that I'm way more excited about, and then I can just whip the thing out, and the client's like, "It's perfect, I love it." And you know, like I dealt with that with a particular touring agent this month. Oh man, I'm gonna try not to say any names.
No worries, man.
There were like probably 24 edits that this guy needed within like a
God.
week,
Woo!
and it was like fucking, like, even if the actual work took me 5 minutes, you know, getting the computer out, putting the iPad away, making sure everything loads up, because, like, you know, the file is 3 gigabytes, and you know, it sucks up a lot of time, and it sucks up a lot of energy too. But yeah, so those are the cases where I would charge an hourly thing, where it's like, you know, you've agreed to this commission fee, but if you're gonna, you know, be a dickhead and have 8 million revisions, you're gonna pay me hourly for that, because it's taking away from other people who I could be doing art for.
Yeah. So as far as like from a perspective of artists that are out there just doing stuff for local and kind of like just starting out death metal bands, you mentioned something about how the rates would be lower, and I think that's like really the only option. It's like bands can only afford so much if they're just getting going, or if they're just getting noticed and they're putting out their first album, or maybe even their second, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of curious, because I'm kind of in that boat right now. Like I'm in that category where I can't charge as much as what you're charging, and it's inspiring to see that you are able to demand that because of your time, your efforts, your abilities. It's just such an honor to be able to talk to you and understand what that's like, because I'm not there yet. And I know I'm like, I kind of like, sometimes I kick myself, like I'm like, why am I not there yet? And I think it's probably because I just didn't really, I guess I just didn't push myself enough, or whatever it may be.
It takes a while, man.
What's
you know,
that?
Like, it takes a long time. I'm
38. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, I'm 38 and like just starting out as a tattooer, and I only went full time with illustration at 34, and it was mainly because like
full time. Well, congrats on that.
Yeah,
awesome.
like I was doing it. I so for almost 9 years I was a dispatcher for Amtrak, and
word.
So like I just kind of, by the time I hit 25, I was just like, you know what, if I can't make a career in art, I'm just gonna like go get a big boy job with pension benefits and all that shit. And so I got the job just because I know somebody, essentially.
Yeah.
And you know, it like worked out, and the first couple of years were cool, but I started to realize that I was missing art a lot. And I would do commissions here and there, but it was just like little, just, you know, dumb fun things that I could knock out in a couple hours. Sure. And then after being there for like, I would say 4 years, that's when I started to take things where people were like, hey, you can just do whatever the hell you want. So I started having more fun and experiment with stuff. And, you know, so it was like I did a flyer, and then I did a logo, and then I did a t-shirt design, and then it just turned into like this windfall. So since around that time, like 2012, 2013, it's been nonstop. And by the end of 2014, I had done my first poster for Pig Destroyer, and
nice.
So they were playing their first show in Boston. They played in Massachusetts before, but not in Boston. So
Gotcha.
they hit up the booking agent, this dude Lance Tobin. He's a great dude. He was just like, "Hey man, these guys want a poster, and there's no other person in this area who should do it. So, are you in?" Like, yeah, I'm fucking in.
Fuck yeah.
So that was a big turning point. So that is when
That's so
like
awesome.
selling all the posters, and then like they were like, "Hey, can we give you more money to make this into a shirt?" Also, I've gotten to do like between Picture Story and Agoraphobic Nosebleed, I think I've done like 15 or 16 designs, and like Scott Hall at this point is just a friend, which is really weird.
Oh, that is
like,
so awesome.
Yeah,
I
like
have so
picking
much
up.
respect for that guy.
Yeah, picking up like a relapse contamination sampler at like 16 or 17 years old and hearing that shit for the first time. If someone was like, "Oh, this guy's gonna be texting you about pulled pork,"
That's what introduced me to that.
That's
too.
cool.
Like,
yeah, he's a
one of
great
those
dude.
Contaminated fucking samplers.
Yeah. But so
cool.
yeah, at that point I was like, all right, I know I can do this for a living now, because I've kind of like I've gotten to a point where there's so much demand, and like without me having to reach out to anybody, a band that I've been listening to for, you know, almost half my life at that point wants me to do this poster. So I just made it a goal that like within 3 or 4 years I needed to be a full-time artist. And it took another like 3.5 from there. And it was just like it just kind of worked out by circumstance. I was getting really burnt out at Amtrak. It was just killing me physically, mentally, everything. And I just knew that at 34 years old, if I did not make a change, then I would just like flounder. And so me and my ex-girlfriend were like, fuck it, we're moving to San Diego. So I quit my job, and I had a tree land on my car. So I got a bunch of money from insurance for that. And then I sold like, I think I sold like $5,000 worth of originals. I sold like a bunch of, just like maybe another $5,000 or $6,000 of my personal stuff. And then I had like 2 weeks of unused PTO at Amtrak. So I just told him like, yeah, I'll just work until the day that I got to leave. And just cut me a check for that. And my boss was like, all right, well, you also qualify for all your PTO for next year. So you just want that in a check too.
Wow.
Like,
Cool.
all right. So I was able to like really pad my bank account and be like, okay, I have like at least 6 months worth of bills here. Let's see how I can do full-time illustration.
Right.
And within the next 2 years, up until I moved back home and started the apprenticeship, in order to actually like make ends meet, I was always having to figure out other like passive ways. Like I'm a collector. Most of my money at Amtrak went towards collecting a million different things just as like retail therapy. So I sold off like periodically I would just sell off like 20% of my stuff. And then I would like, I found a bunch of original pencil drawings, and I was like, all right, I don't have money for rent. I'm going to sell these 20 drawings for $50. And I had rent within a day. But
question for you.
Sure.
When you make pencil drawings, do you make sure that they're like, does it bother you if you're like, are you like OCD about like framing them? Like not framing them, but like putting them in a frame of a page?
I mean, I just stuck them in like a cheap portfolio. So
right, but like when you make them on a page is what I mean. Like, do you make sure to like have a margin and all that?
No, and that's one of the many reasons I love digital, is because I don't have to worry about those types of not necessarily limitations, but something that I look past because I just want to get drawing, you know.
Yeah, I'm really kicking myself about being behind the times with that. I feel like it would be an astronomical difference for my production. So yeah, I mean, like it's just coming. It's proving itself every time I talk to someone that does digital medium at this point, especially for tattooing. It looks like so many tattoo artists are utilizing those tools.
Oh yeah.
So, but jumping back to what you were just talking about, holy shit! Like to be able to, first of all, be a full-time illustrator and like an artist in general is awesome. To be able to be fortunate enough to have that padding to find a new location, find a new, like, better footing with things, get out of a blue-collar job.
Well, it was more of a white-collar job.
Well,
But
whatever you may call it, whatever kind of job it is, it's not a passion of yours. It's an inconvenience almost to a
yeah,
certain extent, right?
yep,
It's not something that we're looking to do with our lives. It's something that we kind of feel like we kind of work. It works for
yeah,
whatever reason, you know what I mean? But it's not what we want to be doing, and
yeah,
I think that's like the biggest thing is like the reason I do this is because I aspire to do art as my career, and seeing artists that are doing so is inspiring, and I want to see how they went about it and what's going on with them, and I think it would influence other artists that are getting going or
yeah,
have those questions too, because it's not easy to, you know, and I remember going to school and like talking to people and asking them like, you know, how is it that I can like understand what it is that I want to do with this art, like especially in my niche of like what I want to do as far as like heavy metal. And I would just like get, oh well, you got to just ask the people that are doing it now that you're looking up to, and it's not easy to reach out to some artist and be like, hey, so like what's your whole deal ever, you know what I mean? And like you got to kind of pepper it in. So I kind of felt like this is enough is enough. Like at this point, like I feel like I just wanted so many lights shown on so many things that I haven't really understood. And so this is like really awesome to be able to see what has kind of uh uh how things have unraveled for you,
yeah,
in a positive sense. I'm just
yeah, yeah.
and I always love Riddick's questions. They're always just so fucking awesome. I think Lucas had a question a little bit ago. Someone had a question a little bit ago.
I see a big one.
What's a medium that you haven't attempted that you'd like to experiment with? Also, what's a medium that inspires you even though you don't replicate in your art? And that's from Sire Quietus. He's a homie.
Yeah, that would be a good one. So I actually was thinking earlier today that I really want to learn how to use ZBrush, which is like a digital, like 3D modeling, like you sculpt 3 dimensions.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, I've seen a lot of people just create some absolutely insane shit. It's like one of the things as an illustrator who's doing like, you know, weird, like dark art creatures and shit like that. Oftentimes you're drawing something that does not exist in real life. So
Sure.
you just have to guess with like where light and shadow is, and you know,
Right.
perspective, all that stuff. So with ZBrush, it would allow me to like create like virtual 3-dimensional versions of the things that I see in my head.
Oh, and then apply the lighting.
Yeah, and then use that as reference to make an actual piece of art.
Yeah, I fucked with that
like physical.
way long ago in some other programs, but not to the point where it would be able to make creatures. It was just dumb shapes and 3D dimensional. What is that? CAD? Like I think I mess with some CAD stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with that, like the 3D printing.
Yeah, I know of it.
But it was way long ago. Way long ago.
Yeah,
like,
I remember. Yeah, there were like vocational classes you could take in my high school for that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had that at my school
Yeah.
too.
Extrude.
Yeah.
That was one of the things you would do to a thing.
Yeah. But so the second half of that question, what's a medium that inspires me even though I don't replicate in your art? Definitely, I would say oil painting. I did oil painting like when I was in high school for maybe 2 years, and then going on to art school, like they didn't want us using oil paints because of carcinogens and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's, but like, you know, whenever I just will look at oil paintings or even just acrylic paintings, just painting in general is something I have not done in forever. Like I've done watercolor stuff,
Same.
pen and ink.
Yeah.
I don't even really.
Of it.
Yeah, like I can't really count the way that I do that as painting. Yeah, a lot of acrylic and oil paintings in general. Like Dan Seagrave has always been a huge inspiration. Beksinski, this guy who goes by Medusa Wolf on Instagram. He does really cool stuff. I haven't seen him posting a lot.
Medusa Wolf.
I love that guy's shit. It's so fucking cool. But
I love how creative his compositions always like they they span so many ridiculous like nightmare scape / dreamscape like entities and like weird little like details and like armor on beasts and monsters and like strange things going on in the background, cool you know, landscapes. It's just like all over the gamut.
Yeah, Hieronymus
So cool.
is another huge favorite. I've got a bunch of stuff from the Garden of Earthly Delights tattooed on my leg.
Cool.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like just
That's
seeing
one
this,
of my favorite pieces of all
yeah.
time.
It's all stuff from the Hell panel. But yeah, like seeing the stuff that guy came up with in the late 1400s is insane. It
is.
Like I just don't get it, you know. And then there's like all sorts of weird controversy or something about a handful of his paintings have been like examined in a certain way that they can see other paintings layered underneath.
Yeah.
And there's like a theory that he just had this large group of scholars who continued painting as him after his death, which is cool as hell.
Wow.
Like, I don't know if we'll ever know, but I think about it every goddamn day, and it's pretty. It's fun, but it just like it's an anxiety booster.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna know this fucking cool thing, but let's see. There was something.
Sticker mentioned something about Medusa Wolf real quick.
Yeah.
I was able to look at a whole gallery of his work at the convent in Philly with Jeremy Hush.
Oh, nice.
Hosting. It was right down the street from my house. It was such a pleasure to be able to just walk right down the street to this place. It was called the convent because it was a convent.
Yep.
They lived there. And they just had it like kind of opened up. The pews would be where you would sit if you weren't looking at the art on the walls. And yeah, Medusa Wolf had a whole gallery there, and it was just so sick. Like the stuff that they did with Mastodon albums and like all sorts of different cool like weird graphic novel stuff he's done. And, yeah, so sick, dude.
Yep. So Mark Riddick has a question.
Yeah.
Another question. What was one of the most
How dare
challenging?
you, Mark?
Yeah, fucking calm down, dude. What was one of the most challenging commissions?
Chill the fuck out.
All right.
Chill the fuck out.
So this was one of the most miserable experiences, and I'm not going to say what band it was because I just would feel bad. Like they weren't bad people, but man, they just it was just a whole fucking show. So I spent probably 30 or 40 hours on a physical like watercolor and pen and ink piece as an album cover, and I was really coming down to the wire. And I was in a long distance relationship at that point, so we were like Skyping later, and we ended up breaking up. So I was like, all right, well, the deed is done. Now I got to go. It was like a 4 or 5 hour conversation. I was like, all right, now I got to finish this album cover. And the color scheme that they wanted was garbage. It was way too many colors. They wanted me to add like 8 million things. I'm like, no, dude, you can't. Like, I'm already painting it. It's like half colored. And he's like, yeah, but like, is there any way we can see? Like, can you just like paint it on a separate piece of paper? And I'm like, no, this is due tomorrow. I need to get it done. And the other thing that really sucked about that was that, so I had a piece in an Eridanos show called Path of Descent. That was Mark Blanchard's old shop that I mentioned earlier.
Cool.
So it was a really, you know, like popular event. We had all sorts of awesome artists in there. Mark Riddick was one of them.
Nice.
Who else we have? We had Dan Seagrave was there. Like Dan Seagrave came to it too, and hung up and like gave me beers. It was fucking sick as shit.
That's rad.
Yeah, it was the coolest show, and I was like, wow, I have a piece amongst some of my absolute favorite artists.
That's
like,
really awesome.
This is cool as hell. So it went off without a hitch, and then Mark knows some people at St. Vitus in Brooklyn, so we decided to make it a pop-up event, and I was like, all right, I'll come and help. So I had to finish this album cover, break up with my girlfriend, and get picked up at like 7 or 8 a.m. to go to Brooklyn to put up an art show. So I broke up with my girlfriend, and I sit down at my desk, and the fucking thing fell apart. And like all of my inks were open, like those Dr. Martens
those solid,
yeah. And I didn't put the caps back on right, and so the desk fell like this, and everything just slid down, and that piece that I had worked so fucking long on was completely ruined.
And then
So-
they were like, "Hey, we love it. Thanks."
Yeah, so I was like, hey guys, I'm really sorry, but this happened, and you're not getting your album cover
That
tomorrow.
would be so devastating.
Yeah, and it fucking sucked, and it was like the third or fourth time that something similar had happened within like a few months, but this was like the first one that was just like I could have prevented this by closing my inks right, but so from there, I just redid the inks by hand and then decided to color it digitally. So then they were like, oh, well, since you can color it digitally, we can ask for all these changes. And I was like, no, we're getting this thing done. And he's like, I want these 8 colors in the sky, but these 32 colors in the foreground. I'm like, that's too much. It's too much color. Like, I like working with like 2 colors with varied tones,
Yeah.
and then black and
I'm
like
a big fan of as little color as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just like, this is fucking garbage. And I just kept telling him, like, listen to me. You were the one paying me for this. And I want to get this done for you. Like, I already hated the piece, and I don't like the band. And I was getting really sick of this fucking guy.
But why did you sign up for it in the first place? Just question.
Because it was at a time when, like, things were really starting to ramp up. And, like, I was just getting commission after commission, and I was able to start charging more. So I was like, wow, this fucking blows. And he just like kept going and going. And then he's like, okay, so about the layout. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, well, you're doing the layout too, right? I was like, no, I'm an illustrator. Like I do that stuff, but it's so fucking tedious.
That's a separate
that's yeah. And I was like, I don't have the time for it, and I don't have the I need extra money. And he kind of like threw a hissy fit, and I was like, okay, fine. He was like, I guess I'll just fucking do it myself and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, cool. All right, well, you're going to butcher my artwork that I already hate, but I'm going to like put my best foot forward.
I try to avoid. That's why I offer layout services, because I don't want anyone to butcher my artwork.
Yeah. So I did that for them, and then he started bitching at me about like the spacing in between letters, and I'm like, I'm just fucking typing on Photoshop, dude. Like, you're going to get what you get. And I just sent it off.
Oh, okay.
I was but it like plagued me for months, and just like almost having it done and just like having that whole shit show of a night happen. It was that was the most challenging commission I've ever dealt with in my life.
Dang.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Incredibly stressful and overwhelming. Like,
oh yeah.
I wouldn't want to deal with anything.
Unfortunately, I'm no stranger to that, because I overwhelm myself all the time. But
I think that's most artists as well.
Yep.
Yeah, it was.
No matter how high or lower you are on the totem pole, if you will, like, artists stress themselves out like it's their fucking main gig, man.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot to myself about that, like how just stressed and overwhelmed I've been with everything that I have to get done. And now that I'm at the end of my commission list, I'm stressed because I'm not stressed anymore. And I'm like, having anxiety.
No, I gotta say, like, I can definitely relate to that in a different, not artistic sense. Like, I'm so goddamn happy that you just start to look for things that are gonna be negative.
Yeah.
Like,
And I'm a very positive person. I'm just like, oh great.
Yeah.
What's gonna
Just
happen?
waiting for that other fucking ogre foot to drop, man. Like,
yeah.
But
You gotta be prepared for everything.
What's that?
You just gotta be prepared for anything and everything.
Sure, exactly. That's the thing, man. That's how to be realistic about it. But, well, so it sounds like that was a nightmare of a commission, but
yeah,
you got through it, and you're at a point where you're able to ask for what you want. You're passionate about what you want to do, and you don't have to take any jobs on that you don't want to do. So that's an awesome position to be in. So yeah, seriously, big fucking congrats to that. Like, and like I said, dude, I'm gonna be there soon, and we're gonna be doing this fucking. We're gonna flesh this whole thing out on my arm. I'm looking forward to it.
Right on, man. Oh yeah.
No, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
I just said I'm into it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, we're gonna do like a gnarly fucking The Thing bear, like a fucking grizzly bear with some The Thing influence and maybe a little fungi.
Yeah. I'm doing some fungi stuff next Friday, I believe.
Hell yeah. I look forward to seeing that.
Get some practice for you.
That sounds good. All right, so Matt Sicker says that has me beat, I think. I'm curious to know what that's all about. Maybe next
What
time I
his,
have
like,
him on,
worst
we'll ask him.
experience was.
Yeah. So someone,
Maybe next time.
someone who I tattooed a week or two ago, Leah, is asking me what's in my cup. I have a cherry lime times session
My cup is empty.
sour ale
Cherry
by
lime what?
Allagash. It's a
Allagash.
It's a sour. I'm a big,
Yeah,
big
she
fan
doesn't know what
sour.
Allagash is. It's a brewery out of where the fuck is it? Maine?
Vermont.
Where the fuck is it?
Vermont.
Vermont.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I went to a place that had Allagash White. I didn't.
Oh wait,
know.
is it Maine? You know what? It is Maine.
I
Yeah.
think it's Maine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. I was out there with my sister. She was
I'm gonna
she was
confirm.
doing whitewater rafting
Yeah.
tours.
Portland, Maine.
Wow.
Right on. Yeah. Like I was out there and my sister was doing whitewater rafting tours for a summer. It was fucking nuts.
Yeah.
She brought the whole family out on a fucking whitewater rafting tour, and we went to the Allagash Brewery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've yet to go there, but I've been to a million of the other breweries in Portland.
Right on. Right on.
Oh.
Let's see what time we got here, man.
Like
This
10:15 here.
right on.
Yeah.
Well, this is, I mean, dude, seriously, this is one of the most engaging episodes I feel like I've gotten into so far. Like, so many good fucking, like, sink your teeth in stories here and,
Yeah.
like, things
Got
that
the-
really resonate with me and
We got the
things
hard
that I've
hitting
had
questions.
about as far as, like, artists that are just getting to other tiers, you know what I mean? Like just to hear like the kinds of commission work, the kinds of offers you're getting and things like that. It's just like shit, maybe like should I be charging more? Like I don't
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
I'm not sure yet, but
So the day after I put on my Instagram that commissions are closed forever, I got an email. It, like, you know, I'm not going to say who it was. People who are close to me know who it was, but like I'm not going to trash talk. But it just like, and I'm pretty sure the guy follows me, so I don't want to like out him. But I got hit up by somebody representing a very, very large band, and they were like, "Hey, we know that your commissions are closed forever," and I'm like, "All right, cool. So you're willingly just being like, hey, I know it says forever, but I don't fucking care, and I'm just gonna talk."
right,
to you
like I have money, so
I hate it. Yeah,
yeah. You're like we're gonna pay you, so we're better than
just
everybody
like,
else.
I was like, cool. All right, I already feel disrespected. Cool. This is off to a wonderful start. And then he was like, yeah, so we showed this work to this guy in the band and he loves it. And I said that your commissions are closed, but he said, you know, find out what he needs. And I was like, all right, so the ball's in my court now. So it was a really short turnaround time. And I was just
on
like,
top of all of that,
even if I
short turnaround time.
Even if I had nothing else going on, I would not have been able to complete it.
What's the short turnaround
especially
time for you?
Like a month, 2 months. And this was like less than a week.
All
this
right,
was less
yeah,
than
for something like that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I told him, you know, I was like, yeah, and I just can't do it. And he's like, all right, well, if we're able to do something in the future, like what would you want? And I was like, well, if you need it within a month, like there needs to be a rush fee. The amount of money that they were offering is less than what I usually make in a full day of tattooing. And it was gonna be like bopped back and forth between me, this middleman, and a member of the band who's like, from what I was told, he's like the art director. So I was like, all right, this already sounds like a nightmare because I can't talk to him directly.
Yeah, trying to bounce it between even two people is a fucking nightmare.
And
you got three?
For a huge mainstream band to be offering like, you know, nothing and probably gonna like making 50 grand off of it. When I told them what I would actually want, I didn't get a response back. And so some people will, no matter how big their riches are or whatever, will not think that you're worth however much you want to get paid. And it's pretty shitty.
Can you repeat that for the ones in the back?
What's that?
Can you repeat that for the ones in the back?
Oh yeah. Even if, so there will be certain clients who will come to you who like can definitely afford to pay you what you're asking and more, but they don't feel like it because they don't give a fuck. And you got to just tell them to fuck off. And I wish every artist would do that. So that way there would be no good artists left for these people to go to.
Exactly.
With like peanuts. It's one thing if an artist is like, yeah, you know what, I do a ruthless vetting process and I only do like 4 of these a month. This is something I'm into. I only want X amount. But like for me to tell you like, hey, I have at one point I had a year-long waiting list for my illustration, and people were like, well, if I gave you an extra $100, would I get it done next week? Go fuck yourself. Like, that's not, you're going to have to pay me exponentially more. But yeah, I'm going off on a tangent now because it's very passionate.
No, it's all good, dude. I mean, like, this is very enlightening, and it's like, I don't think anyone's feeling slighted about what you're talking about. I think it's just informational. Yeah. It's like, it's informative.
I always want to advocate for people who are in or will be in or have been in similar situations. You know, like
right.
what we do is not essential work, but it's shit that people clearly want, and they want a lot of it.
Yeah,
because it's fun, it's gross. Yeah. Like there's such an amazing, bustling subculture around all this stuff, and even like people who what I would consider very normal, run of the mill people will like start to see more of it, and they're like, I really like this. So it's becoming more popular in genuine ways, and for some of these mainstream outlets to be trying to exploit it more, like it's fucking bullshit. Because like a real artist, a real full-fledged illustrator who only does work like that for mainstream outlets would not be working for anything less than several $1,000, So I just I still get told I don't charge enough, but
really,
I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter, because anything that I do, once my commissions are done, anything that I do from then on is going to be on my terms. So whatever it is that I feel like I should get paid for, like licensing, or if a band who I really am into, like if it's going to feed my soul, that's better than, getting extra money. But when you're like a full-time freelance illustrator, like you can't really afford to get dicked around like that, and they might say, well, so-and-so said that they'll do it for this much. And it's, well, fucking go to that guy then. And, like everyone has different rules and everything, and everyone should make sure that they're advocating for themselves to make sure that they're getting what they want out of it. Yeah. Whether it's like, if they just want the clout to say like, yeah, I did shit for this band or this movie or whatever. Yeah. Like, I want to be able to pay my bills, or like, hey, this is going to look good in my portfolio. Just as long as you make sure that you're getting out of it what you want.
Yeah, like what you deserve too. Yeah. Like, if you're settling, if you're settling for money, is it something that you feel like is worth it? Or the other way around, you know what I mean? If you're doing something for someone for a lot of money, do you want to sacrifice your integrity for something you don't want to represent?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm very I at this point, like, I know I'm not like some big artist at this point. Like, I know I'm just doing what I can for bands that dig what I do, but I gotta be selective. And I've said it on other, Forum Terror Fridays or what have you. And I had to do it yesterday. I had a guy reach out to me, and he, showed me his music, which was great, because that's the thing I require to even consider working for anyone at this point is, do you have music? Okay, you have music. Cool. Thank you for getting back to me so promptly. Thank you for sending to me. I listen to it. If it's not my style, I just straight up tell them at this point. I'm nice about it. I'm polite. I say like, hey, it's solid for that genre, but it's just not my style.
Yeah.
And I try to recommend it to someone that might like be down to do it. But thankfully that was a positive experience. He said, "Oh, no problem, man. I really appreciate you taking the time." Yep. And I understand. Like, I told him I just have to be selective, because I don't have time to just take on things that I don't feel as passionate about, or I just don't have the time. Yeah. I'm a part-time associate at fucking Home Depot right now. I don't want to be there. You know what I mean? But I work hard when I'm there, and then, I go home and I fucking do what I'm passionate about. Yeah, so, exactly. Like, I don't have extra time to waste on things that I'm just not into. So, but
yeah, and I've done plenty of work for bands and stuff I'm not really into. Sure. But I just look at it as like, all right, this is a fruitful experience to maybe appeal to a different audience, especially when it's people who are like, hey, our stuff is really boring. We don't know anything about this like gory artwork, but we really like your stuff because of like the poppy colors, or just because one piece spoke to them. Like, I got hired to do a T-shirt for the rapper Pusha T. And I was like, how the fuck did that happen? And like,
You never know,
listened,
man. You never know who's looking at your shit. And I do see, I know that, like, in the back of my head, I know that I'm kind of squandering that idea of, like, getting yourself out there. But I'm a big advocate of, like, being outgoing, extroverted, talking, making connections. And that's why I'm doing this, too. But, like, I have to have my limits. I have to have my lines drawn in the sand, because I don't want to represent certain bands, because then you get hit up by other very similar bands, and you just don't want to represent something you don't dig. Like if you're at a point where, like, I feel like it's different for different artists, because there are artists that can, like, crank out an amount of work that it doesn't even seem to phase them. And it might be that case for you, it might be that case for Sticker, but for someone like me, like, I just don't crank out work as fast. I'm just not as able to, like, really get those creative juices on the page as fast. And I think, like, I'm probably not the only one that is like that. And so I'm just kind of, I'm speaking for the outcasts in that weird category, I suppose.
Yeah. And, you know, just as long as you keep plugging away at it, like, things will start to click, because that's where I was a while ago. Yeah. I was only finishing, like, one piece every 2 weeks. And then with a full-time job, I was finishing, like, 6. And even though I would be putting every waking moment into it, it was still, like, once you kind of, like, lock in and the creative juices just keep flowing, and the only thing in your way is, like, actually having to do a job or, like, go to bed for a little while. So to go back to the Pusha T thing, Mark said, fair client. Yeah, it was probably the same guy who reached out to me he used to be Kanye West's art director. And,
wow. Oh, really?
So I don't even know if the Pusha T shirt that I did got made, but he was like, yeah, I love your style, and, like, you know, do something that you would like. Here's the general idea. And I was like, that's fucking cool. And then he hit me up for more work later on for City Morgue, which I know Riddick did. Joe, that's the guy's name. But he hit both me and Riddick up for stuff for City Morgue, who I had never heard before. I didn't even, like, look into it. I was just like, all right, yeah, this guy's good to work with. And the stuff is really fun. They were, like, one of the 2 designs was one of my most like, favorite pieces, and it was actually the second tattoo that I did too on my buddy Justin. But it, like, then everyone's like, how the hell did you get hooked up with City Morgue? I'm like, I don't even know who these people are. But, like, then I was like, oh shit, I should probably start looking into these things. But, like, I knew Joe, and I knew that I could trust Joe, so it was just like,
right.
But yeah, then all these people were like, "Oh, those kids are fucked up." They got, like, video. I think they were only teenagers when we did those things. But and they have, like, videos of people, like, shooting guns and doing drugs and shit. I'm like, oh, whoops. But whatever. I mean, that whole, like, I don't know, the murder rap type stuff kind of fits the bill anyway. But
a little bit of gore, you know. A little bit of blood, a little bit of bone. Yeah,
they're just very depressed individuals, and they want to see some gross shit. So,
hey,
I will provide.
Join the fucking club, bud.
Yeah, exactly. All right, looks like we got some more questions here.
Yeah.
All right. Since it came into this late, what are some bands you've done work for that you're proud of? All right. Well, earlier I mentioned GHOUL. You know, Pig Destroyer, Agoraphobic Nosebleed. Man, you know, my buddies in Xoth and Toxic Ruin are
little snapperino.
2 of my absolute favorite clients, and, you know, like, I became fans of them because of doing artwork for them, or in Xoth's case because I knew their drummer Jeremy for a while before he was in that band. Man, what else? It's like Napalm Death. I did a poster for a Napalm Death show, so it wasn't like
nice.
It wasn't like Napalm Death asked me to do it, but
got you.
But, like, the dude at Brick by Brick in San Diego showed my work to Napalm Death, and they were like, oh yeah, go for it. And then unfortunately I dropped the ball. Like, Shane hit me up the next day, and he's like, hey man, we want to turn this into a hoodie, and we want to do, like, these 4 t-shirt designs.
That's how windows open, baby.
That was right when I got hired by Netflix, and I was doing more commercial work that was, like, very demanding. And I was like, fuck, Napalm Death is the reason Napalm Death was the first band beyond like, you know, Slayer and Megadeth and all that like really got me into really heavy, fast, extreme shit. So yeah, drop the ball on that one. But I might just like when I have no records left, I might just whip out some stuff and be like, hey Shane, remember me from 4 years ago? But
yeah, dude. Honestly, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt that you'd be able to do so.
Yeah.
Primus is a big one.
Word.
Yeah, so you know, I've been listening to Primus since I was probably like 9, 10 years old, and so my buddy Jason has done like music merch management and shit like that, and he got a gig as like their touring merch manager and hit me up on my birthday in 2018 about doing a poster for them, and I was like, well, I mean, that's the coolest birthday gift I could get. And so that was so one of the biggest reasons that I'm proud of doing that design for Primus is because it got a lot of people mad, and I really like making people feel upset for like, you know, for reasons that are completely innocent on my end. But so they said, you know, the tour was in support of Desaturating 7, the one with the goblins on it, so it needed to have something to do with that. And obviously Larry Lalonde was in Possessed. So I was like, all right, I'm seeing one of these goblin faces as like the cover of Beyond the Gates. So I was like, Jason, you need to let me do this. I know it's going to be a hit. Like we need this to happen. So he ran it by, I think Zoltron is like the art director or something. But he was like, yeah, go for it. You know, once again, Primus had no fucking clue who I was until they actually saw the posters on the day of the show. That's another big note to make. Like whenever you see a poster for a band and it pisses you off, don't get mad at the band, because 9 times out of 10 the band has no clue what it looks like. Yeah, especially the bigger stuff. Like Primus isn't
the band.
like Les Claypool is not like reaching out to independent artists being like, hey, you want to do a poster? Like they got guys for that because they're a worldwide entity. But so I got the go ahead and I did the design, and a bunch of people were like, wow, this is fucking wild. A bunch of people were like, wow, this guy deserves to be punched. This guy's a fucking piece of shit. And I was like, yeah, give it to me. And they were just like, fucking, this is a Larry Lalonde cash grab, and Jeff Becerra would be pissed. Meanwhile, every fucking member of Possessed was messaging me and sending me friend requests being like, dude, this fucking rules. Obviously, you're a fan. Jeff was like, yeah, Jeff even said, he's like, I don't understand why people think that me and Larry hate each other. Like, I love the Lalondes, and like, Larry's a good dude. But it's like, everyone gets so pissed off at Larry Lalonde because like people would just, you know, he quit Possessed. He was a teenager in that band. And like, yeah, he helped pioneer death metal and all that, but like he was a teenager, he had no fucking clue what he was doing, and he knew that he wanted to do something else. So he went on, and you know, at Primus shows, people would be just yelling stuff about Possessed, or like interviewers would always ask him, and he got sick of it. It's like if people came to the tattoo shop and were like, hey, remember that time you dispatched trains for Amtrak? Yeah, that was cool. You want to go do that again? And like just keep hounding you. So people got this thing in their head.
I get that.
Yeah, so a lot of people hate Primus, and they hate Larry Lalonde for no fucking reason, and it's a riot.
That sucks.
And like so many people are like, oh, this is a fucking.
All right, we got a doggo trying to figure out what he's doing.
We got a dog that wants to
cool.
get in.
I welcome the dog, but
he's an old doggo, and he's a good boy, but he's
deaf and he's blind.
Got a mouth that smells like a goddamn dumpster.
Like someone that died a long time ago.
But
very jealous.
He's a good boy. He's just confused where he is right now. So
yeah. But so to cap off the Primus thing.
Yeah.
Sorry. So that was my first poster for them, and my buddy called me and he's like, dude, this sold out in a half hour, and that's for like the first poster for me to have done for a Primus show, and for it to sell out that quickly or sell out at all is like crazy.
It's awesome.
So then,
that's awesome.
Yeah, they hired me for another one, and on that tour, that was the tour with Slayer, and they made shirts out of that.
I gotta see that.
Poster.
I haven't seen it. I gotta look at it.
Yeah, and so Jason was like, yeah, the drummer has worn your shirt every single day of the entire tour. I'm just like, man, it's fucking wild.
What an honor, man.
Yeah, it's like life is so busy, and I'm just always like, all right, I got to get this done, this done, this done, this done. that like sometimes it takes a while for things to really set in and realize I'm doing the coolest
That's
shit
awesome,
ever.
though.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm trying to think of other bands I'm proud of doing work for, but like I'm just my brain is just a smooth ball of Play-Doh at this point.
It's all good, dude.
So,
Honestly, we're not expecting anything specific of you, man. We would just really appreciate your time.
yeah, no problem.
You did some work for Skinless, didn't you?
Oh well, yeah. But now I feel like a fucking
Yeah.
asshole. So yeah, I picked up Skinless's first album as like a blind thing at a show that I went to when I was like 16 or 17, and I was like, holy shit, this is fucking brutal. And I did a logo for Noah's band that's now defunct, I think, called Plague Vulture. And he was like, we might just like, he's like, yeah, I think we're gonna disband, but we want you to do a couple Skinless album covers. And I was just like, fucking sick. Like, you know, one of the first like really underground bands that I bought stuff from. So yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, that's fucking sick.
Yeah, I was very pumped for that one. I was really hoping that I was going to get to do something like, you know, Progression Towards Evil or Foreshadowing related. But, you know, I'm still pumped that I got to do 2 pieces for a band I've been listening to for well over half my life at this point.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I have not listened to Skinless.
You're going to hear it tonight.
Check that shit out.
Yeah.
I got some Skinless for you.
Yeah, definitely just start at the beginning, you know?
Oh, yeah.
We'll do.
Yeah,
For sure.
like the first few albums are the fucking best.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark has another question for us. How often do you receive finished products from your customers? It's probably like 50-50. Sometimes I will have to ask for it. Sometimes people are just like, all right, what's your address? Or they already have my address and
Right.
a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Like
Gert. Nice.
Yeah, someone earlier, I can't remember who mentioned the Gert album cover I did for Bongs of Praise, which for a long time was the most liked thing I had ever put on the internet, because it was just like a gigantic church organ made of bongs and skeletons. But
Of course it would.
it was a
be
real
the
fun
most
one.
liked.
But so yeah, they hooked me up with like a hoodie for a design I did previously, and then they were like, hey, we're gonna send you a whole care package, and it was like 3 boxes full of shit. It was awesome.
Oh my
Holy
God.
shit.
Whenever I've worked with Creature, the skateboard company,
No,
like
Creature Skatebaords, man.
getting hit up by them, like, you know, I was into skate culture when I was a kid, but I could never skate because I have 0 balance. But I always thought it was like the coolest shit, and I would always see these Creature skate decks. I'm like, this is the death metal skateboard company.
Exactly. I was just gonna say the metal fucking company of skateboarding for sure.
Yeah. So their art director hit me up and he's like, hey man, you want to just do like a big gross graveyard scene? I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And I got sent like a shitload of boards, a shitload of shirts.
It's so killer. He's
And then
really cool.
people were texting me being like, hey man, your shirt is at Zoomies in the like a place at the mall. I was like,
hey, that's a big thing, man.
yeah, really, really cool. But yeah, I sometimes there will be clients who I really want to have the physical product from, and they'll say like, oh yeah, don't worry, we'll send it to you, and they never do. And I feel like an asshole having to ask twice, you know. And then
Shouldn't have to.
then I'll like, you know, I've paid for a lot of stuff that I've gotten to do just because I didn't want to miss out on it, because I feel like I can't trust it.
Yeah, you want that collection.
Yeah, like when it comes to those things, I'm not going to put my trust or faith into anybody except for myself to just spend, you know, somewhere between $10 and $25. It's not a big deal, to make sure that I actually get what I want, that I've done the artwork for. But there are several things where I'm like, you know, I'll like bump into a member of a band and they're like, oh shit, we were supposed to send you these things. I'm like, yeah. It's like the 7th time you told me, like, it's like it's sold out at this point. It's out of print. It doesn't matter. But
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, hey man, I mean, it's always nice when you do receive something you've worked on and you can have that in your collection of things to look back at and be proud of.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always try to request 1 copy of whatever I make art for.
Yeah.
And it's always, you know, it's always amazing to just open a package and see something that you've made, and it's fucking awesome. Like
Yeah, the only records that I have now are ones that I've done artwork for or have been on. And,
Oh, really?
yeah, so I used to have a lot, but with all the moving that I did to and from California, I just had to sell off.
sold it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a huge pain. But yeah, like being able to just look at a record collection that's nothing but my own work is pretty dope.
Hell yeah.
So how long? So I want to ask you a question about commission work as far as hourly rate. How long did you go until you decided that it wouldn't be so cut and dry as far as hourly rate? Like, and even so, like, is it crazy to ask what that rate was?
So you kind of cut out for a little bit, so I don't.
Oh,
think I
I'm
heard
sorry.
the question.
What was the first thing that you didn't? Do you want me to repeat the whole thing?
Just the first part.
So I guess after, like, where was the point that you decided that you were going to stop asking for an hourly rate like normally? Like,
well, I never actually like had a habit of doing an hourly rate. It was just
really?
like with specific types of clients and jobs. It's
Sure.
always for the most part just been like a flat rate thing. But like they've obviously gone up over the years.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, like the point where I was like, okay, I'm going to start charging hourly for revisions was that particular tour poster that I had to do over 24 revisions on in a matter of a few
that's
days.
the wake up.
That was when I was
right there.
Yeah, I just told him like, hey, new policy, man. If you want this shit done, you got to pay me. And he's like, well, that's not fair. I was like, it's not fair to me.
Fair now.
Yeah. So that was like probably, I don't know, somewhere between 2016 and 2018. It's all a blur at this point. I don't really remember. You know.
I guess what I was asking the question after the first one was, what was your hourly rate? But it was like, I understand that, like, being able to disclose that information is not something that someone would necessarily want to. So.
Yeah, it's also one of the, like, like I said, I would just tell people, here's the flat rate that I want, and here's how many revisions you get. If it's someone I feel comfortable with, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, we're just gonna do what we've always done. But for a lot of newer people who I have taken work for in the last few years, I will say, like if you need any revisions, this many are included, but anything after that is going to be $75 an hour, 2 hour minimum. And it's like, not because I want that money. I really want
it's because
to make sure they address
everything. Time, and you don't want to be spinning your wheels. Like, but I also wanted to know, like, or I guess I should make it a point to say that it's important for artists that are aspiring out there that are aspiring to do more with their art, that they need to make sure that they're not selling themselves short. And I wanted to ask you, when did you realize you were selling yourself short?
Oh man, I don't know. It's been a while. But that's the thing. Like, as I reach new steps, where it's like I feel like I have progressed as an artist, or more people want my stuff, or it's going to be for much larger publications, or
that's the goal. Yeah.
There's like been different points where I'm like, you know what, I'm selling myself short, and then I realize again, like, oh, now I'm selling myself short, and I know for a fact this time because this is how I felt last time, and when I started asking for more money, everyone was cool with it. But I would say like the first point where I realized I was selling myself short was it was probably like right after the Picture Store poster, because the amount of bands and companies that hit me up after just that poster, that was in December of 2019. I mean, 2014 when that was released. There were so many people coming to me, and I was just not charging enough. And a lot of people were like, oh, that's it. So I raised my rates a little bit. Some people were still saying, oh, that's it, you should be getting X amount more. So
the people that were commissioning you were even telling you that you should be receiving more money.
Yeah, or like, yeah, they would say like, hey, we budgeted for $1,000, and if I like at that point, there was a band they were like, hey, we're not really sure if we can afford you, but how much would you charge for this? And I said $500. And they're like, oh, we were expecting like $3,000. I was like, what the fuck?
Wow.
Like, but you can't, I mean, that's just one person's perception.
Yeah.
And like when Dan Seagrave says that he charges, like, I don't know how much he charges, but if Dan Seagrave says, yeah, I want $3,000 for that, Dan Seagrave deserves that from every client because he is a true master and he's been doing this for fucking decades. And if it wasn't for him, 90% of the artists doing what we do would,
big influences.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like the amount of time and the amount of effort that was going into it after I did that poster, I was like, I need more money. It wasn't really because of people telling me. I was just like, if I ever want to keep up with this shit, I need to raise my rates so that way I either eliminate a lot of riffraff and or like actually just get enough money to make every project worthwhile, you know?
So let me ask you this then. For aspiring artists out there that are doing stuff for local bands, that are doing stuff like for bands that aren't as known, you know, people that aren't doing big name gigs, as far as like logo design goes, you know, what is it that you would say is fair to charge for a logo design anymore?
You know, logos are tough because they can go either way. Like I've done a lot of logos where I'm just like, hey, this is the idea that I have. And they're just like, oh, it looks fucking great. And then I finish it and bada bing, bada boom. But then there's other times they're like, well, we're torn between like, you know, sketch 1 and sketch 2, but we like parts of sketch 3. And, you know, so I realized early on making logos, I was like, fuck, I need to set a lot of boundaries with logos. So, you know, I only send a certain amount of sketches. If I feel like the band doesn't have the right general idea, like if they don't know what they want, or if they're like, hey, we love your style, do whatever you want, awesome. They're like, we don't really know, we kind of like these blocky logos, but then we also like these really stringy logos. When we like that, I just tell them like, I can't do this until you know what you want, because inevitably it means that I'm going to end up getting super frustrated and spending like 30 hours on something
more time on things that aren't worth it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so yeah, I just kind of set like a flat rate for just lettering only logos. And if there's any illustrative elements, it can go up. It will start at this point and it can go up to this point. And I just try to let them know, like, I'm going to give you a couple sketches to choose from. And if you don't like any of them, then like, I don't know what to tell you, because I can't spend 80,000 hours on a logo. Like it's very important.
I feel like, I mean, like I'm in a little bit of a different boat where people will ask me for logos lately, and I just give them like whatever comes out on paper as a sketch as soon as I can get it to them and show them, and they're usually into it, and I just kind of go from there. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not really thinking about all of the parameters that I might have to be thinking about. I feel like I'm kind of just going, you know, I am a product of the idea of flying by the seat of your pants. Like I'm constantly just like, well, I guess I'll just like, you know, do it that way, and then I guess maybe I'll just like kind of, I don't know, see if they're all right with adding a little more if I can, you know, because I'm doing this or that. And it's like, you know, I should probably be really thinking about rates and not spinning my wheels like that, and like taking on too many different styles of something as far as like sketches go and what have you. But like, I don't know, I guess I'm like, I also kind of feel like my sketches are kind of ugly. So I just like, I used to be really shy about just showing people my like progress things. But at this point, it's like, that's how I get things moving. That's how I move.
Yeah,
like,
it's what you're gonna do.
And it's not something that like I should be embarrassed about. It's just like this is my process. Like it's an ugly process, but it comes out good enough for people to want to work with me. So take it or leave it, babe. Like, come on, let's do this. Yeah, but like,
pretty much.
You know, it's been an interesting, like, eye-opening kind of thing to hear about like how logos are conducted with other artists. So it's always interesting to ask the artists I have on here about logos, because it's a big part of working for our niche,
and
network as far as art. So
and I can tell you this: there's no way I'm ever doing another logo commission ever again. I know that for a fact, unless like it was like a rework of some classic logo. If like fucking. I don't know if Bolt Thrower was like, "Hey, we want our logo," but it's really
why would you want? Why would you want to redo their classic logo? How dare you?
At the same time, it'd be like, I can't be responsible
for
facing this beautiful thing. But also, they're not gonna ask me for that.
I mean, let's be real though. The old school logo is really silly looking, like the W's all fucking but it's classic. It's like it's iconic.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, logos, man. Like logos can be really easy and fun, and they can also just be a goddamn nightmare. As like I will do them for all of my own ventures. Like I did the Tomb logo, I did the Stagnator logo. Pretty much like almost every single band I've ever been in, I've done a logo, and I will continue.
And you're gonna do Bloodburner.
Yeah, the Bloodburner one I'm gonna make as disgusting as possible, because I just I want people to look at it and be like, that's fucking stupid. But
nice.
But
that's
in a cool
what
way.
I wanted for Bloodsport. So
I want people to be able to tell what it says, but I want it to be as gross as
I don't know what the fuck you're doing then.
Yeah, I know. I like a legible logo. Sorry, but
nerd. No, I'm just kidding.
But the Bloodsport logo is really cool because I see
thanks.
There's a shape. I see that shape and I'm like, oh yeah, it's Bloodsport. But it's also probably because I had to stare at it for hours when I did the Death Over Worcester poster layout 8 million times.
Yo, I love that skull. That's why we featured it on the post, man.
So,
I love that skull.
Kevin Ord from Codex Obscurum was like, man, you've gotten more mileage out of that piece than anything. And I'm like, oh, I know.
It's so good. And we didn't even have the show. The show didn't even happen.
Hey,
it's so funny.
I still have the files, so if and when it ever happens, I will be able to make some adjustments.
Yeah, Kevin, he said he wasn't going to be booking for a sec, so I don't know what's going on. But
I don't blame him. Booking shows is a fucking nightmare.
I understand.
Yeah,
it is. I've done it.
Yeah,
it's fun. Like if you do it as a little bit of a thing every once in a while, but it is still very. It's stressful for sure.
Yeah, like the one that we're playing this coming Sunday has been just like the stress I didn't know that I needed. So the original person who put it together was like,
you didn't know you needed?
Yeah, I mean, I'm being sarcastic, obviously, but
okay. I was gonna say,
well, obvious to me, I guess, but yeah. So the guy who originally put the show on, his band had to drop, and he's like, "Do you want to take over?" And I'm like, honestly, no. Like, if nobody else can do it, I will do it because I know that I can, but I'm not gonna be happy about it. And then, so I didn't hear anything for a bit. I just assumed somebody else was taking care of it. And then he just confirmed that we wanted the show to still happen. I was like, oh yeah, of course. And then the venue pulled out, and I was like, oh cool. So then the task fell on me to rebook the show. So I contacted, because there's a touring band called Worcester from Pennsylvania, and I was told that they were like already on tour. So I was like, oh fuck, like they're not just coming up here for this show. They're actually on tour, and I've been in bands that have been, snubbed on tour and have, a day off, and it if it's not a planned day off, it is a huge blow to the wallet. Not because you make money, but because like you don't have any left to put gas in the tank.
Absolutely.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to make sure that I, put my best foot forward and get this thing done. So I finally, after contacting like 25 venues, found this place in the South Shore that'll, it'll be fine. Got everything good and ready to go. Started telling everybody about it, and then Worcester had to drop off, and I was like, whew. The only reason that I was fucking doing this was so that, and like I understand things happen, but that's the thing. So you just don't, you never know what's going to happen. I hate booking shows with a passion, and I hope to never do it again.
That brings up something that I should mention. Like while we're on here, I feel like a lot of people that are doing art for this kind of music are in one way or another experienced with bands going through, the trials and tribulations of being a musician in some aspects is always very helpful as far as understanding where they're coming from when they're commissioning you for art.
Yeah.
like, you know, just knowing what it's like to be a band, being what, you know, whatever it is that you're doing, whatever kind of art that you might want for your band, having providing that service for another band. You know, but I think that also kind of makes it hard to feel good about charging higher than you feel like would be easy for that band to afford.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's something important to touch on, because, like, Riddick's in a band, you're in a band, I'm in a band, Matt Sticker's in a band. Like,
Yeah.
there's fucking Lucas Court is in his own band. I don't know if he's toured. Like, I don't think he would be able to, because it's a single project. But, like, a lot of people that take on the art and this passion of this niche of the metal community are passionate in that they are doing the music as well as the art.
Yeah. We're not here for the clout or the status. We're here because it's just
no,
what we love and what we do. And if we don't do
Right.
it, who the fuck will? You know?
Yeah.
And that's like, you know, having played in bands for almost 23 years at this point, you start to realize, like, all right, if I'm in a band that people actually like, and a local show might sell, you know, $100 worth of merch, and at an out-of-state show where people are pumped to see me and my band might make 200 or 300. Sometimes it goes above and beyond. Like, I mean, the first two Stagnator shows back, we made more between those two shows, between door money and merch money, than I think like any band I've been in the last decade.
That's great.
Which is fucking wild, because, like, you know, we're just a bunch of old dudes playing short, fast, dumb music, and it's like, wow, it's finally starting to pay off when we're all like pushing 40, or, you know, one of the guys is already over 40. So, but it's one of those things, like, as you play in these bands, you start to realize, like, all right, yeah, if I'm going to be doing artwork for bands, I know that a band of this stature can afford this. And you shouldn't look at it as like, oh, I know that they can afford more, so I'm going to charge them more. But,
No.
you know, it's like one of those things you're like, okay, I don't feel bad charging what I know I should be getting, or what I usually ask for. And what's funny too, like, at least in this stage of the game, there will be a lot more bands who are like just starting out, or they're like putting out their first full length, or they're going on tour and they need their first like batch of merch designs. And they will, they're the ones who are like, oh wow, that's all you charge. Whereas like some of these larger bands will be like, well, can you drop $100 off? I'm like,
Really?
No.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've had kind of the opposite of the situation, but it's,
yeah. I think
it's all.
I think it reaches like a point where the scales tip, you know.
Yeah. And I think it's also something to keep in mind when you're thinking about what a band can afford. How many members are in that band? How much shit's going to come out of everybody's pocket?
If 5 bands can't come up with $300 for a shirt design that they can put on any amount of stuff, then you shouldn't, like, just do it yourself, or don't be in a band that has merch. You know, it's like you might not make that money back between the commission fee and the printing within like the first few shows, but I mean, if you're an active band and you're trying to get better and get places, and you want to have a bunch of stuff for people to buy, you're gonna have to spend the money anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And in the end, it'll pay off.
Yeah. Leah is asking if there's going to be Stagnator merch Sunday. Yes, there will be. We'll have several T-shirts and tapes.
Nice.
And Nev said, "Love you," but I can't tell if he means me or you.
Most likely me. No, I'm just kidding. Probably you, dude.
Yeah.
But Nev's a great guy.
Yeah.
I love him. I don't care if he doesn't love me.
I love him.
He's a great guy.
Knows it.
Say again?
I said I love him, and I don't care who knows it.
Oh, right on. Yeah, he's a good dude.
We all love him.
Yeah, he's the grossest man.
He keeps it gross as fuck.
It's disgusting. I love it.
I love it. Well, this has been awesome, man. Thank you so much for doing this with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, I think it's good to kind of call it at this point. It's I think
it's been a
for
while.
us. Is it 11 or 10?
It's 11.
So it's 11 for us.
Yeah, it's almost 10 here.
So probably 10 for you guys, right? Yeah. So 2 hours is pretty good, man. I just super appreciate you taking the time.
No problem.
I know you were busy with the tattoo commission today. It's been really awesome. Just get in your head a little bit, understand like where you're coming from with things. I'm super stoked for you to be able to just call it the way that you want to do it as far as art, man. If you don't want to have to do shit for bands, and you're at that point where it's not going to affect, your wallet in that sense,
it's the dream, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like it's a huge struggle to get to a point like this, but I've been lucky enough to just make the right steps at the right time and take some calculated risks and just be absolutely obsessed with it to the point where if I have to do anything else with my life, it's going I'm gonna hate it. I'm gonna hate myself for not pushing.
I'm there with you, man. I'm there with you.
Yeah, so
that's why I'm doing this.
You have to do what you're passionate about.
Absolutely. And I want to make a small mention that Erica is also a painter, and she hasn't picked it up in a little bit, but I've seen some amazing palette knife paintings of mushrooms.
Ooh.
It's just incredible. So, if you are following Erica, I'm going to try and nudge her to put some stuff online maybe, and maybe even get her to actually start painting a little more.
I'll see what I can do.
But yeah, this has been awesome. Riddick is saying this was excellent. You guys are wonderful and talented. Thanks you so much, Mark. Always really appreciate your questions.
You're amazing, Mark Riddick.
Yeah, you're the best. I want to take a second to announce who I'm going to be speaking with next week. I always like to leave it at the end, Mark, so that people have to either watch it or then they fucking are assholes and they just scroll all the way through. But 2 hours, who has that kind of time to watch all of us fucking bicker about bullshit?
Beats the hell out of me, man.
Right.
Mark Riddick does. I know that much. Which I'm very
So our next guest on the show, the next guest on Form Terror Fridays is going to be Daniel Shaw.
Ooh.
We're going to be doing Sawblade 666. So really looking forward to Daniel Shaw. So thank you so much for everyone tuning in. Really appreciate everybody taking the time to check out what we're doing here, talking about. I just want to keep this going. I just want to keep doing what I'm doing here, and hopefully, it'll get to a point where people are sharing it and getting more inspired, and I want to just see some good shit come from it. That's all I'm really trying to do, and I'm getting inspired talking to you guys, and it's just really cool to just kind of, build this awesome community of artists and get insight on things that I need to get better at or that other artists would like to get better at. So,
yeah. This is a fun time. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Thanks
I really appreciate that. And also, I'll be in touch absolutely about our tattoo piece going on, because I'm trying to get that done. I think I'm
going anywhere.
Have her come and meet us in Massachusetts.
Yeah, we'd like to meet halfway ideally, and just
that'd be sick.
Yeah, fucking bro down. I'll show you the sights.
I want to see that. I want to see that tattoo studio. I want to see all your old work.
Fuck yeah.
Right on.
I'd love to see, some of that stuff you're talking about tonight, like the poster designs and.
Oh yeah, we have almost all of them hanging in the shop. But it's just me and Mark Blanchard doing our thing. Everything is just horror movies, heavy metal, and toys and bones.
That's what we're about.
Well, sounds sick to us. So.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Right on.
All right. Well, we're going to sign off now. Thank you so much, Mark.
No problem, man.
I'll be in touch.
Appreciate it.
And I'm going to share this after I get done with the live feed. I'll cut it out and post it, give a little explanation as to what it is. And hopefully, if you liked this, you can share it with people. Just put it on your story, put it on your post, whatever you can do. I don't know if you can put it on your post. Just try and share it. Just try and let people know that this is what I'm doing out here. Form Terror Fridays is all about just getting people to learn more about art in the death metal, the heavy metal artwork, underground community. Like, want to do, you know, as much as I can to kind of shed light on things that might not be so apparent.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So this has been really cool. Thank you so much.
Hey, you're welcome. Thank you.
Hell yeah. Cheers. This says, y'all still on? LOL. I had a nap and came back. Well, you better fucking watch what you missed.
It's an epic saga.
Motherfucker.
That's my best friend Ashley.
Oh, right on. Well, then,
Classic
I guess,
Ashley.
whatever, Ashley. Like.
All right. You guys
All
take
right.
it easy.
Cheers, Mark. Thank
All
you
right.
so much, man. Have a great night.
Later.
Later. All right, that was really awesome, guys. Thanks again for tuning in. Next week, Daniel Shaw, Sawblade 666. If you don't know him, follow him. Check out his work. It's fucking incredible. I've never met him. I don't know him. I just fucking started talking to him, and he agreed to do it, and we've been kind of getting friendlier as we go, so that's what it's all about. So next week, it's going to be a cool experience. You're going to be getting to know him as much as I am, so... look forward to that. And again, thank you so much for tuning in. I know that we're losing lookers, but right now, really appreciate y'all's eyes and attention and questions. So
Thank
cheers.
you, Ashley. You rock too. We fucking love you guys.
All right. Well, we're going to sign off now. Leaving you from New Brunswick, Canada, in Minto, the village of Minto. Cheers, all. Enjoy your Friday night.
Happy Friday.
What's left of it
Have a good night, guys.
later on.